Logan Pierce stood in Earth's interstellar embassy, staring at the smooth silver envelope in his hand. The seal shimmered with the emblem of the Virelian Empire, a race known for their beauty, intelligence, and cold, glass-like skin. The invitation inside was written in both galactic trade and English. You are cordially invited to the royal wedding of Crown Prince Caver and Lady Tellus, held on the crystal moon of Virelia Prime. Logan blinked. Why me? He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a scientist or a cultural expert. He was a former Marine, now working as a diplomatic envoy. He had helped save a Virelian ambassador once, but that had been months ago. Since then, things had been quiet. You made a good impression, said Director Vaughn, his superior at the embassy. They respect you. The Virelians value honor and direct action. You gave them both. They requested you specifically. Logan frowned. And if I say no? Vaughn gave a dry chuckle. You won't. This isn't just a wedding. It's politics wrapped in a party. Earth needs to show that we respect their customs. You're our best chance to keep this alliance solid. 2 days later, Logan stepped into a shuttle bound for Virelia Prime. As the ship left orbit, he looked back at Earth, blue, round, and peaceful. Then he turned his eyes toward the stars. Virelia Prime was unlike anything Logan had ever seen. Giant towers of glowing crystal stretched into the sky. Roads shimmered like liquid silver. The air smelled faintly of flowers and ozone. Everything felt precise, quiet, and clean. The wedding guests were a mix of aliens from across the galaxy, floating jellyfish-like beings, tall fur-covered diplomats, and sleek Virelians in robes that reflected the sunlight in strange ways. Logan felt out of place in his Earth-made suit. A Virelian guide met him at the shuttle port. You are Envoy Logan Pierce of Earth, she asked, her voice calm but musical. That's me, Logan said, giving a small wave. She blinked slowly, unsure of the gesture, but then nodded. Follow me. The royal family wishes to meet you. As they walked through the glass-like halls of the Crystal Palace, Logan couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched, not with suspicion, but curiosity. He was the only human here. He was led to a grand hall filled with light and soft chimes. At the far end stood the King of Virelia, tall and shining like living glass. Beside him stood his daughter, Princess Orith, her eyes bright and curious. Logan bowed politely. The king nodded in return, but it was Orith who stepped forward. You are different from the others, she said, studying him with interest. You do not hide behind titles. I like that. Logan smiled. I don't know how to be anyone else. The princess smiled back, and in that moment, something shifted in the air. Logan didn't know it yet, but he had just taken the first step toward changing both their lives forever. Logan Pierce couldn't stop staring. Virelia Prime looked like a dream. The sky changed color with the hour, soft blue at dawn, golden at noon, and deep purple as night approached. The buildings shimmered like carved diamonds, catching the sunlight and bending it into rainbows. Even the trees had a strange beauty, with leaves that sparkled like frost but felt soft like silk. Everything here seemed perfect. But Logan didn't come as a tourist. He was here for a royal wedding, and more importantly, to represent Earth. The Virelians watched him closely. They spoke little, but nothing escaped their glowing eyes. Every step, every word, every gesture mattered. That made things tricky. Virelian culture was quiet, formal, and full of hidden meanings. A nod could mean agreement or deep offense. A hand wave, common on Earth, was considered rude. Logan had to study fast and watch even faster. Luckily, his guide, a young Virelian named Sorel, was patient. She explained things as they walked through the palace halls. Never step on the light trails, she said one morning, pointing to glowing lines on the floor. They mark paths for honored elders. Crossing them without reason is disrespectful. Logan nodded. Got it. No stepping on shiny lines. Cyrell tilted her head. You make jokes often. It helps me think, Logan replied with a smile. She didn't smile back, but her eyes glowed slightly brighter. That was the Virelian version of laughter. At the wedding rehearsal, Logan was surprised to see Princess Oriath again. She stood beside her brother, the groom-to-be, Prince Caver. Unlike the quiet guests around her, Oriath looked directly at Logan and smiled. "You're learning fast," she said. "I'm trying not to insult anyone," he replied. "So far, I've only broken 2 rules." She laughed softly, a rare sound among her people. "You show respect without fear. That's rare. Most guests walk like ghosts." Logan shrugged. "I'm human. We walk like we mean it." Later that day, the guests were invited to a celebration in the Sky Garden, a floating platform held above the palace by magnetic fields. The view was stunning. A soft breeze carried the scent of glowing flowers. Music played, made by glass-like instruments that rang with clear, gentle notes. Logan tried not to stare too long at the princess, but it was hard. She moved with grace but spoke with fire. She wasn't like the other Virelians. She asked questions. About Earth, about humans, about Logan himself. "What do humans value most?" she asked him. "Freedom," Logan answered without thinking. She looked at him for a long moment. "We'd value balance, but maybe freedom has its own kind of power." Logan didn't know what to say. The stars above them blinked softly, like they were listening. The night ended with a dance, one Logan didn't understand but was politely pulled into by another guest. He copied the steps carefully, trying not to mess up. He didn't know it yet, but that simple dance was about to change everything. The next morning, Logan woke up to silence. Heavy, glass-like silence that filled every corner of his guest chamber. The light outside had a soft green glow, meaning it was morning on Virelia Prime. He dressed quickly, still thinking about the strange dance from last night. It had been graceful and slow, with guests moving in circles, raising their arms, and bowing at certain points. He had just copied what others did, not knowing it was anything special. But when he entered the palace's main hall for the next ceremony, things felt different. The guests stared, the servants bowed lower, and Princess Oriath was already waiting. "You danced the Virelin Dray," she said. Logan blinked. "I danced what now?" "The binding dance," she explained. "A tradition over 10,000 years old. It is only performed between life-bonded partners, or as a public proposal." Logan felt his stomach drop. "Wait, you're telling me I proposed last night?" "You did the gestures, in front of witnesses, with the proper sequence." Oriath's voice was calm, but her eyes sparkled. "And you did it while facing me." Logan's heart raced. "That's a mistake. I didn't know. No one told me." "Intent does not matter to tradition," she replied gently. "You stepped into our history." Before Logan could speak again, trumpets sounded. The royal family entered, led by King Valor. His tall form shone in golden armor made of crystal plates. He looked down at Logan, face unreadable. "Envoy of Earth," the king said in a deep voice. "You have honored us, or challenged us." "I meant no offense, Your Majesty," Logan said quickly. "I didn't understand the meaning of the dance." The king nodded slowly. "We believe that the stars guide hearts more than words. Still, we must speak with care." Oriath stepped forward. "Father, allow me to speak." The hall grew quiet. "I accept the bond," she said clearly, "if the human also accepts it." Freely, without pressure. Gasps filled the room. Even Prince Caver looked shocked. Logan stood frozen. His mind screamed no, but his heart whispered wait. He looked at Oriath. She wasn't forcing him. She was offering a choice. Her gaze held no fear, only hope. She wasn't like the rest of them. She had curiosity, strength, and something else. Respect. He took a breath. "Can I think about it?" The king nodded. "You have until the stars rise tonight." Logan was guided to a private chamber, Guards posted at the door, not as a prisoner, but not exactly free either. He looked out the tall glass window at the glowing sky. He had come to this planet for a wedding, someone else's wedding. And now, somehow, he might be walking into one of his own. Logan sat alone in the quiet chamber. The room was beautiful, walls of glowing crystal, a ceiling that showed the sky above, and soft lights that changed colors like a living rainbow. But he didn't notice any of that. His mind was full of questions. How did this happen? What if I say no? What if I say yes? The door opened softly. It wasn't a guard. It was Princess Orith. "I asked for a moment alone with you," she said gently. "I hope that is all right." Logan stood up. "You have the right to ask anything you want. I'm the one who's in the middle of a galactic mess." Orith smiled, but it was a sad smile. "You didn't mean to offer the binding dance. I know that. But our people take these things seriously. If you reject the bond, it may be seen as a deep insult. The alliance between Earth and Virelia could break." "So I have no real choice?" Logan asked, frowning. "You do," she said firmly. "I will speak to my father. I can ask him to cancel the bond. There will be some shame, but the damage can be controlled." Logan looked at her closely. "Why would you do that for me?" "Because I want this to be real," she replied. "Not forced, not political, and not because of a mistake." That surprised him. For someone raised in a palace, she spoke with honesty and warmth. She didn't want power. She wanted truth. Logan sighed. "I faced alien pirates, walked through storms on dead moons, and negotiated peace between angry generals. But I've never been in this kind of situation." Orith stepped closer. "Then let me make it simple." She reached into a small pouch and pulled out a glowing stone. It pulsed softly in her hand. "This is a bond light," she said. "If you touch it, it means you accept the connection. It won't bind you by force, but it will send a signal to the court. If you choose not to touch it by sundown, the bond will quietly be removed." Logan looked at the stone. It was warm, almost like it was alive. "You really don't want to force me," he said softly. Orith shook her head. "No, I want a partner who walks beside me, not behind me. If that cannot be you, I will still respect you." She placed the stone on the table and left without another word. Hours passed. Logan thought deeply. He remembered her smile, her voice, her respect. This wasn't just about him anymore. Earth's future might depend on this bond, but so might something more personal, something real. As the sun began to set and the stars started to appear, Logan reached out and placed his hand on the bond light. It glowed brighter. Outside the chamber, a bell rang once. The court would soon learn that the human had made his choice. The bell rang once, then twice, then a third time. Each sound echoed through the crystal halls of the palace like a soft thunder. Everyone in the royal court stopped what they were doing. Heads turned. Conversations ended mid-sentence. Even the musicians at the rehearsal gently lowered their instruments. Princess Orith stood by the balcony, looking up at the sky. Her hands were steady, but her heart raced. She had waited all day, wondering what Logan would choose. Behind her, a royal advisor whispered, "The bond light has been accepted." Orith closed her eyes. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she simply nodded. "Inform my father." At the other end of the palace, Logan stood in front of a pair of tall doors. He had changed into ceremonial robes, light armor mixed with silk, designed in Earth's colors, but shaped in Virelian style. He felt strange in it, but he had to admit, he looked sharp. Cyril, his Virelian guide, arrived with a calm smile. "You have done something very rare," she said, accidentally proposing marriage to a space princess. "No," she replied, giving her the choice to say yes or no. The doors opened. Logan entered the throne room, and all eyes turned to him. He walked calmly toward the center, where the king stood with his advisors and warriors. Behind him stood Orith, her long robe glowing like starlight. King Valor stepped forward. His face was serious, his eyes unreadable. "You understand," the king said, "what this bond means." "I do," Logan replied, "and I accept it, on my terms." Murmurs spread across the room. A few nobles looked shocked. Others seemed impressed. The king raised an eyebrow. "Speak." "I didn't come here looking for power, titles, or marriage," Logan said. "But your daughter showed me honesty, courage, and respect. If I marry her, it won't be to become a prince or for political gain. It will be because I see something real in her, and I'll protect that with everything I've got." The room fell silent. Then, slowly, the king smiled, spoken like a warrior and a worthy mate. He turned to the court. "Let it be known, the human, Logan Pierce of Earth, has accepted the binding. He is no longer a guest. He is family." The court responded with a soft, rising hum, the Virelian version of applause. Light patterns flowed across the crystal walls in response. Oriath stepped beside Logan. She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "You spoke boldly." "I'm human. We don't do quiet feelings very well," he said with a small grin. "You'll learn," she replied playfully. Later that evening, as the palace lit up with celebration lights, Logan stood beside Oriath on the balcony, looking out at the glowing city below. "I came here for someone else's wedding," he said. "And now it's yours," she whispered. Logan smiled. "Yeah, and strangely, I think I'm okay with that." The celebration lasted through the night. The palace sparkled like a star. Music floated in the air, soft and sweet. Logan stood beside Oriath as noble guests from across the galaxy offered gifts, greetings, and curious stares. Some smiled politely. Some didn't smile at all. "Not everyone is happy," Logan said quietly to Oriath, noticing a few Virelian elders whispering among themselves. "No," she replied, keeping her face calm. "Some believe the royal bond should stay within our own kind. A union with a human is something new." Logan didn't mind change, but he knew change often brought enemies. The next morning, Logan joined Sorel in the training arena. The floor was made of glowing tiles that shifted shape. Energy targets floated in the air, moving slowly at first, then faster. Logan picked up a practice spear. Time to learn something useful. He fought well for a human, strong and focused, but the Virelian techniques were graceful and quick, more like dancing than battle. Still, Logan adapted. He was a Marine. Learning fast was part of who he was. Sorel nodded with approval. "Your form improves." "Thanks," he said, panting. "Just don't expect me to float like you people do." She allowed a small smile. "You don't float. You charge forward. That may be what we need soon." Logan raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Sorel hesitated. Then she looked around and lowered her voice. "There is talk in the lower courts, a faction that believes the human bond is a threat to Virelian purity. They may act." "You think they'd try to stop the wedding?" Logan asked. "Or worse," she said simply. That night, Oriath received a strange message, delivered not through palace channels, but by an anonymous drone. It held a short message, burned onto crystal. "End the union, or watch your empire fracture." Oriath's face remained calm, but her hands tightened around the crystal. Logan took it from her, reading the message twice. "We have enemies," he said. "Yes," she replied. "And they are no longer whispering in shadows. They are moving." Logan looked at her. "We should stop the wedding." Oriath's eyes flashed. "No, that's what they want. If we back down now, we show weakness." Logan nodded slowly. "Then we need to be ready." They met with King Valor in private. When he read the message, his jaw tightened. "I suspected the old blood would resist," he said, "but I did not expect them to move this soon." "I will protect your daughter," Logan said firmly. The king studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Good. You may need to." The bond was now more than romance. It had become a target, and someone, maybe more than one, was ready to strike. The royal palace was glowing with wedding colors, soft silver and royal blue. Everywhere Logan walked, servants smiled, musicians practiced, and guests dressed in jewels and fine robes. On the surface, everything looked perfect. But Logan felt it in his gut. Something was wrong. Behind the smiles, there was tension. The guards were doubling shifts. Sorel had stopped joking, and Arieth stayed close, as if she expected danger at any moment. They hadn't received another threat, but the silence was worse. It meant whoever wanted to stop the bond was planning something bigger and smarter. Later that day, Logan joined Arieth in the Sky Garden for a final pre-wedding ritual. It was peaceful there. Blue light floated through crystal flowers. Arieth looked calm, but Logan knew she wasn't. "We're being watched," he whispered. "I know," she replied, "but I won't hide." He admired that about her. She wasn't just royal, she was brave. As the ritual began, a priestess handed them 2 silver rings. They weren't worn on fingers. Instead, they were placed on the chest, where they pulsed softly with the couple's heartbeat. The rings were a symbol of balance, 2 lives beating as one. The moment felt sacred, until the priestess suddenly fell to the ground. Logan caught her as she collapsed. Her skin was pale. Her eyes fluttered. "She's been poisoned," someone shouted. Guards rushed in. A scream echoed through the garden. Logan looked at Arieth. It started. They moved quickly, surrounded by royal guards. Sorel appeared, her energy spear already glowing. "There was an attempt in the East Wing," she said. Another servant was found unconscious. This wasn't random. They're targeting today. Logan's mind raced. They won't stop now. They're testing the defenses. The real attack is coming soon. King Valor ordered the palace to go into high alert. Shields were activated. Guests were kept in secured halls. The wedding was postponed, but only by hours. "We continue at sunset," the king declared, "to show we are not afraid." Logan agreed. If we back down, they win. That night, as the sun dropped below the glowing horizon, Logan suited up, not in royal robes this time, but in armor. Arieth wore her ceremonial dress, but a hidden blade was strapped to her arm. "I always thought my wedding would be peaceful," she said with a half-smile. Logan chuckled. "You married a human. Peace was never promised." They walked side by side to the main chamber, where the final ceremony would take place. Above them, a crystal chandelier sparkled with 100 lights. Logan glanced up at it and froze. One of the lights was blinking, too fast, too sharp. His instincts screamed, "Bomb." Logan's heart pounded in his chest as he stared at the blinking light in the chandelier. His mind raced. "Bomb," he whispered under his breath. Without hesitation, he grabbed Arieth's arm. "We have to move. Now." She looked at him, eyes wide but calm. "Can you stop it?" "I don't know," Logan admitted, "but I can try." The royal guards began to notice the sudden tension. Logan's voice rose above the murmurs. "Everyone, clear this hall. Now." People moved quickly but carefully. The palace staff were trained for emergencies, but panic crept into the crowd. Logan's eyes never left the blinking light. He spotted Sorel rushing towards the chandelier with a small device in her hand. "I'm trying to disable it," she called. Logan stepped back, looking for cover. The room was large, filled with crystal walls and delicate decorations. There was nowhere truly safe. The seconds felt like minutes. Then, a loud click. The blinking light stopped. Sorel exhaled sharply. "It's disarmed." Relief flooded Logan's body, but he didn't relax. Who would do this? And how many more threats are there? Arieth took his hand. "It's the faction against our union. They want to stop us at any cost." Logan nodded. "Then we have to be smarter than them." The king arrived, his face grim but proud. "You saved many lives today, Logan." Logan shrugged. I just reacted. But we can't let our guard down. The wedding ceremony began soon after, but it was not the peaceful event anyone had hoped for. The palace was filled with tension, eyes watching every shadow. Still, Oriath and Logan stood together before the court. The silver rings glowed softly on their chests, a symbol of their bond and the promise they made. As they exchanged vows, Logan felt the weight of what he had promised, to protect this woman, her people, and the fragile alliance between Earth and Varelia. The ceremony ended with applause, but Logan's mind was already racing ahead. Outside the palace, shadows moved in the city's glowing streets. The enemy was not finished. Logan looked at Oriath and smiled. We've made it this far. She smiled back, eyes shining with determination. And we'll go further, together. The stars above twinkled, as if watching the new bond that had formed, not just between two people, but between worlds. After the wedding, the palace felt different, full of celebration, but also of quiet worry. Logan and Oriath were now bound by the ancient ritual, connected in a way that went beyond words. The silver rings on their chests pulsed gently, like their hearts beating together. But the threats had not ended. The next morning, Logan met with King Valor and his council in the Grand Strategy Room. The walls displayed maps of Varelia Prime and its neighboring star systems, with blinking lights showing important locations. We must find those who tried to stop the Union, the king said firmly. If they succeed, it will weaken us all. Logan nodded. I agree. Earth and Varelia need to stand together. Cyrell stepped forward. We have intelligence about a secret group planning more attacks. They hide in the outer districts of the city. Logan felt a familiar rush, the call of action. Then we go there. Oriath placed a hand on his arm. Wait, there is something you should know. Logan turned to her. This group is not only against our marriage, she said. They believe that humans are dangerous. They want to cut all ties with Earth. Logan frowned. That's not true. We want peace. I know, Oriath said softly. But fear can make people do terrible things. The group prepared for a mission. Logan, Oriath, Cyrell, and a team of elite guards moved through the city's shadows. The streets were narrow and dimly lit, filled with whispers and secrets. At the entrance to a hidden warehouse, Logan signaled everyone to stop. He could feel the tension in the air. Suddenly, a figure appeared, a man with a scar across his cheek and eyes full of hate. You don't belong here, the man growled. Humans will ruin everything we've built. Logan stepped forward. We don't want to ruin. We want to build together. The man sneered. Words like yours are poison. We will fight to protect our future. The battle began. Logan fought with skill and strength, defending Oriath and the team as they pushed forward. The rebels were fierce, but Logan's training and Oriath's leadership made them unstoppable. When the fight ended, the rebels were captured or fooled into the night. Breathing hard, Logan looked at Oriath. This is just the beginning. She nodded. But together, we are stronger than fear. Back in the palace, the king praised their courage. You have earned your place not only as a partner, but as a protector. Logan smiled, feeling the new sense of belonging. The bond was real. And their fight for peace had only just begun. The sun rose slowly over Varelia Prime, painting the sky with soft pinks and gold. For the first time in weeks, the palace felt calm. The threat of rebellion had faded, but Logan knew peace was fragile. He stood beside Princess Oriath on the balcony, looking out at the city below. People moved through the streets, humans and Varelians together, working, laughing, living. It was the future they had fought for. Oriath turned to Logan, her eyes bright with hope. Our bond is more than ceremony or politics now. It's a promise to build something new. Logan smiled. When I came here, I was just a guest at an alien wedding. Now I'm part of a family, and a future I never imagined. She took his hand. We face many challenges, but together we can meet them all." The king joined them, his expression proud but thoughtful. "You have proven yourself a worthy partner and protector. Varelia welcomes you as one of its own." Logan bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored." The days that followed were filled with change. Logan learned more about Virelian culture, their ways of diplomacy, and their advanced technology. He shared stories of Earth, its struggles and hopes. Together, they worked to strengthen the alliance between their worlds. One evening, under the light of twin moons, Logan and Oriath sat quietly in the palace garden. The soft hum of the city surrounded them. "I used to think humans and aliens could never truly understand each other," Logan said. "But now, I see how strong we can be when we trust." Oriath smiled. "Trust is the first step. Love will come next." Suddenly, a soft glow appeared from the silver rings on their chests. "The sign of the bondlight. It's a reminder," she said, "of what we share." Logan squeezed her hand. "And what we will protect." Far beyond the palace walls, new ships prepared to leave Varelia Prime, carrying messages of peace and friendship to distant star systems. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, it was full of hope. Logan looked up at the stars and thought about his journey, from a visitor at an alien wedding to a husband, a warrior, and a bridge between two worlds. He smiled, ready for whatever came next, because this was not just a story of a human and an alien princess. It was the story of humanity, brave, strong, and always reaching for the stars.